Welcome, everybody, to Write Out Loud, the podcast about storytelling, authorship, writing, creativity, and all that fun stuff. Today, we are talking about a book that did not just skate into the romance world, it checked into the boards and refused to apologize. Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reid is enemies to lovers, there's slow burn, rivals on the ice, feral off the ice perfection, and somehow manages to be a tender, brutal, funny, and devastating story all at once. I mean, this is a story about obsession. It's about denial, intimacy, and what happens when the person you're supposed to hate is the only one who really sees you. I'm Matt, and of course, I'm joined by the luminous, enthusiastic, emotionally perceptive, chaos-embracing Christina.
Ooh, who is chaos-embracing.
She
do not want the chaos.
Ready to talk about Ilya, Shane, and many, many feelings that these books inspire. So, lace up, let's take a deep breath, and let's get into Heated Rivalry. So, okay, chaos embracing.
Chaos embracing. Okay. Chaos embracing in my fiction, TV shows, and things like that. In life, no. Please.
Yeah, that's fair.
No chaos, no drama.
That's fair. So have you seen the HBO show?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Of course. Waited until it all came out, and then I binged it. I did not read the books, but mostly because I wasn't aware of the books before the show came out.
Same.
So, and it's not that I won't read the books, I just haven't yet. And also sometimes I have discovered that I kind of like to leave, like if I've watched a TV show first before the books, like let it be the TV show. And then when the TV show is done, maybe then I go to the books if I'm still missing Ilya and Shane. And the thing I will say about Heated Rivalry, that I think some people are really honing in on, others are looking at different things. But I have to say, I was shocked, absolutely shocked, when I discovered Connor Storie was not in fact Russian and he is Texan. And that actually put a totally different view of his acting. I mean, and not just because of the accent stuff, something that I noticed very early on, and this isn't something that you don't see very often. And I don't know if it's because she's on my mind, or I know it's because she's on my mind, but Catherine O'Hara was actually very good at this, where you could read the expression on her face that, like, I'm thinking of the Beetlejuice Deo scene where she starts singing, and the expression on her face is, what the bleep is going on? So, I mean, it conveys so much. And the reason I'm making that parallel is because with Connor Storie, I actually got so much more out of his side of stuff, I think, because of his micro expressions. Like, you knew what his home life was like. You knew how he felt about his dad and his brother. And there were scenes where he would be, and I think it was early on, he was with his dad, and I don't even know who else it was, and the dad was like kind of nitpicking at stuff, and the expression on Ilya's face. So I think it would be interesting to see what else in the books, did they reveal a lot of that stuff, or was that in there? I think it is a hugely compelling story, and not just because, like, the thing that didn't get me about it wasn't the, like, they hate each other. Because I don't think I never really saw it as hate. I always thought of it as competition. They were both so competitive. They both wanted to be number one so badly, but there was such respect underlying that competition. So I can't call it hate.
Yeah, I don't think it was hate. I think it was feigned hate because I think they had sort of this stage throughout where they were kind of talking about each other or asked about one another. And it was like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think they were fiercely competitive. They were very much, they had a lot of respect for each other, but they would not let that show publicly. So publicly, they had this whole thing, even with Shane's parents. It was, oh, I hate that guy. Like,
Yeah.
screw Ilya. Like, I hate him.
Well,
But it wasn't even, I don't think it was legit hate. Like, I think it was
yeah. And
part of
to
it because he
me,
had feelings for him.
yeah. So
So,
this is also where, again, having read the books, someone correct me if this isn't the way it was in the books, but Shane was not so sure about his own sexuality.
right.
Okay. Ilya, on the other hand, knew exactly who he
Mm-hmm.
was. Okay. So I think Shane's I hate this guy to his parents was more about his sexuality than it was about actually
Yeah. Well, I agree with that.
pretending to hate
Yeah. I think,
for that reason. So I think that was part of that disguise.
yeah, I think it was both to a degree as well. I do think there was a big part of that for sure. But I also did see that from Ilya when people would ask him about Shane too, where he would say, make comments, or even some of his teammates would make comments.
Because it was
It's an
expected.
interesting breakdown in terms of, again, that sort of rivals to lovers sort of
Yeah.
motif, right? In
Yep.
story. But what I really loved about the overall story and the overall show, once all episodes had dropped and we watched it, like there were so many moments, and me as a gay man, absolutely identifying with specific things that happened, just even little movements, little physical moments that they had that were just very minor, tiny little things.
Hmm.
Ways they sort of expressed themselves, like when I want to say Sophia. I think that's her name. What the hell's her name? His girlfriend for a bit, the famous one. It is Rose.
Rose. Yeah.
So Rose Landry. So when Rose asks him in the diner scene,
Yeah.
have you been with a guy before? And he reluctantly finally nods. And then she said, was it better? And just that moment of like seeing him both at the same time release that tension,
Yeah.
but also still build up that tension because now he's like admitting it out loud to someone else,
Yeah.
was just devastating. I mean, it was just emotionally like it hits. And I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that can identify with that feeling and with the feelings that they had. Like even in the final episode when they're talking to his parents and Shane starts to have a panic attack and Ilya starts to comfort him, like just little tiny things
Yeah.
that he did both
Yep.
physically and as an actor, like just was insanely good.
Yeah. And for me, as a lifelong romance reader, I give romances a lot of room in various ways, but the one way I am a stickler, I am absolutely a stickler, is if I cannot see why this couple ends up together, if
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand, if I don't feel that, I have a problem with it. But this is such a case, like you were just saying, there were so many teeny tiny moments, not the big ones, the teeny tiny ones that
Mm-hmm.
make you go, okay, yeah, these two are end game. These two belong together. And yeah, um, because I didn't watch it until all of the episodes were out, of course, online, I'm hearing, oh, the cottage is coming up. The cottage is coming up. Uh, but I want to harken back one episode
Mm-hmm.
where the other hockey teammate wins what is it?
Yeah.
Is it the
Scott.
Stanley? Yeah, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
His team wins and then he calls down the guy is such a turning point for Shane and Ilya where they see a world in which they can be potentially out.
Mm-hmm.
There's two things that I want to say about that. And number one is I don't know if you either saw on Drew Barrymore or saw an article There was a hockey player
Mhm.
that after the show came out, decided to come out.
Yep.
Like, I saw this so number one, representation, once again.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much validity in having representation in books where people can see themselves and, understand that there is a place for them.
Mm.
And the other thing I want to say about that, because to me, yes, seeing the big picture of the boyfriend coming down and all of that, but actually what captured me most about that scene was the dad sitting next to him.
Yes.
The pride on that dad's face and the happiness and the everything. And it also reminds me of Rose and all of those people that came together, all of Kip's coworkers and
Mhm.
friends and stuff. All of these people who are supportive are pieces of the puzzle. This wasn't just about Shane and Ilya. It was about the people that they had surrounding them, both good and bad.
Mhm.
Because Ilya, with his Russian home life, the thing is, he had the love-hate relationship with that. He
Mhm.
wanted to have, and that's why he had to be closeted, because he could never go home again if he ever came out. And that's why it's interesting. I can't wait for season 2 to find out, what does he go to that other Canadian hockey team, and do they start the charity that they talked about
Right.
starting? So that I also, there's an interesting parallel that we've talked about Heartstopper on this podcast. And I saw a similarity between the Heartstopper mom during that coming out scene and Shane's mom during the
Yes.
coming out scene. And both of them said, if I ever said anything, and the difference was Shane's mom was a little bit anti-gay,
Mhm.
maybe made some comments here and there that kind of did make him question whether or not they were going to be supportive. So I think one of the things that'll be interesting in the next season will also be, does she continue to have issues with it, or is it all
Yeah. Yeah.
said and done and we're moving forward and I love my son no matter what?
I've
kind of
seen
a
a few
thing.
articles too talk about this show, and there's a consensus in some instances too where what they're talking about and why it's so popular is that it's challenging toxic masculinity without lecturing.
Oh, yes.
Like there's a good, just sort of, it's woven into the story without having to be like, oh, can you not be a douchebag? Can you not be a misogynist?
Yeah.
Can you not be this? Can you
Yeah.
not be that? Like, it's just really legit about the feelings that these people have for each other and the way that they interact with one another, and how they all kind of coexist in the same space and take up that space together. So it is interesting. Rumor has it, I don't know if this is true or not, but it was in a little clip that both Connor Storie and Hayden had done, where they unboxed like a little puck that said Heated Rivalry Season 2.
Mhm.
And they said it's on, and then Connor made some comment about, read the long game if you want to know what happens. And that's like the last book ish. There's one that's coming out in September, but that's right now the last published book. Is book 6. So I don't know. We'll see kind of if that's just sort of throw everybody off, or are we really jumping to the end of the series?
The series, because obviously, again, so there's 6 books in the series?
Currently, yes, 7 to be done.
Okay, 7 altogether. So maybe they're thinking, okay, this is more limited than not, meaning we're going to shrink what happened.
Maybe. Or do they hopefully they don't do what they did to Game of Thrones.
Don't make it too long.
Rush out of material. No, they rushed through it so quickly they had to like start making their own stuff up.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if this first one was just based on one book, or if this was if it was more than one book. So now
this one
I'm
is
curious.
based mostly on book 2, which is Heated Rivalry, but then Kip and Scott's entire story is book 1. So they get kind of woven into it.
I see.
Yeah. So I don't
Okay.
know 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6. I
Might
don't know
be
yet,
about
but
different people.
yep. Or it might just be more of them all together, and maybe this initial season was truly like all of this in one
Yeah.
setting. I don't know. I think we
Compilation
got
of them.
mostly. My gut says it's going to be just 1 and 2 in this first season, but I have started reading the book, so I'll let you know.
Well, yeah, and that makes me curious. Like if this one is going to be based off of book 6,
Mm-hmm.
do they only intend on doing 2 seasons or 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Is there
Or do
only
they
that
do them
much
out
story?
of order on purpose? Like this is the beginning, that's the future, and then they go back and kind of fill in the blanks in other seasons. It would seem weird.
I'm sure it would really help if we had actually read all of the books.
We'd have more answers, wouldn't we?
Yes, we would.
But it is the other kind of thing I want to make about this is the fact that we have talked about this a lot on the podcast before, show versus tell. Again, it's a movie. Yes, there's more show, but just by nature of it. But this one was a master class in how you show that someone is feeling a certain way or doing a certain thing to make their intentions known. Like, this was phenomenal. And so much physicality that you had to see in order for it to truly communicate what was going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of, again, I'll talk about the micro expressions from Connor Storie, the actor, portraying thoughts, feelings, other things. So this was one of those shows where absolutely 100% I was not doing something else because you had to watch. You had to watch because there were things that were unspoken that were being conveyed. So
just the little feet touch, like the little foot touch, or the slight little like hands shifting in the sand or on the field, whatever it was. But just those moments of like that small physicality that speaks volumes. It shouts, "I love you," or "I want you," or whatever, right? But doesn't actually come out and say it because they couldn't.
Yeah. What are things that you're hoping for in season 2? What do you want to see?
That's a good question. I really would like to see more. Maybe, honestly, I'd like to maybe see some more backstory on Shane and Ilya as they're growing up, kind of things that they did and what they kind of went through. I'd love to see some of that. I don't know for sure that that's going to be what comes of it, but I would love to see that sort of an origin story, if you will. But I also would love to see now where do they go from here? Like what happens with Scott and Kip, right? Having not read the books fully, where do we go? What does this look like? And we're going to find out for sure because it is forthcoming. But yeah, just stellar show.
Yeah. I want to see Ilya in his freedom. Like, I feel like he had been holding back so much because once you do get to the cottage, it's like he's free.
Yes.
He is free, and it's almost as if he's a different person.
100%.
Maybe Shane saw the real him, but now the rest of the world might get to see the real him. And there's actually something that I had read that like made me go, oh my God, that brings so much different and depth to the scene. But it's the scene, the parents and is eating the spaghetti and everything. And there's a moment where Shane is like, stop eating. Like, and Connor Storie was actually saying that he hadn't had carbs the entire season. And the plate of pasta was right in front of him, and he just wanted to dive into that. But it really made me, I mean, like when I was seeing that scene for the first time without knowing that story, I actually thought, and it's possible that this is just the way it worked out and it's magic, but it was so funny to me. That was like, I burst out laughing, and it did make me feel like we are finally seeing the true Ilya. And I can't wait to see more of him.
Yeah.
I also do want to see more depth to Shane. I think Shane, we've only cracked the surface. because he was hiding so much.
Yep. He had
Even
10,000-foot walls.
Yeah, exactly. And even with his parents and how the coming out scene unfolds, I still think there's so much depth to him. But the idea that he is already trying to figure out how do we be together and still be comfortable with what's happening between us.
Yeah.
So like as a story as a whole, a lot of people like to label, especially LGBTQ stories, oh, this is a coming out story, or this is just a slice of life story. I don't think you can actually call the first season coming out because they only came out to Shane's parents. There's no implication, obviously, that he is going to come out to his family whatsoever. Right. But the fact that they haven't come out yet, that's also something that it would be interesting to see how they're going to address that. Like,
yeah,
I would hope by the end of the series, so maybe not even in season 2 or whatever, that they do end up being public.
Like a public facing couple. Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe that's not part of their
I do want to say, going back to Ilya and just being free now that it was out in the open, he didn't have to hide who he was in that place, right? In that space. Like it's brilliant because he really does. It makes much more sense in my head now that I think back to it, now that you've said that as well, because for a little bit of it, I was like, wait a minute, like, why is he all of a sudden, like, I thought it was wonderful that he was being so tender and caring for Shane when he was having his panic attack. And he's like, you're safe. You're with your family and your boyfriend. And he's like, what did you say, boyfriend? He's like, well, yes, like, duh, or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Like basically like, well, yes, I guess if you want, but
or did he say
for
lovers?
a bit of
Which
it,
one
was
said
like,
lovers? We're lovers.
Well, they said that twice,
boyfriend?
But this was when he said your boyfriend. So he goes, boyfriend, really? And he goes, well, yes, I guess if you want, or something like that. Like duh.
I'm gonna have to watch the last 2 episodes again.
It's so great. But it was that moment of, there was a point where I was just like, why is this Ilya so different? And I think you hit it on the head. He just had complete relief of, I'm completely free. I can be who I want to be. I'm not going back home. He's made that decision. Yeah. He already cut off his brother and everything, right? So he's like, I don't have anything to lose. Like, everything is fine. Yeah. At least here in the space.
And it really is only in that moment after Scott and Kip make things public and it's Ilya who makes the call and says, I'm coming to the cottage. Because it's in that moment that he decides, you know what, even if they don't come out, even if they don't do that thing on the ice that Scott and Kip do, he has decided that at least with Shane, he can be free. Yeah. He can be who he is. And I don't think and I do think he was holding himself back in a lot of ways with Shane as well, because he had to be this persona. And it wasn't just, again, about the sexuality. It was about, he had to be number one. He had to compete with Shane. He had to do it. And I think or at least I hope, that we're going to see a very, very different Ilya in season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And I one of my other favorite scenes is when he panics because the loon calls. And he's like, what is that? Oh my God. Like, he freaks out and he's like, is it a wolf? This stupid Canadian wolf bird.
I think season 2 is going to be so hilarious because I really hope they lean into that, because he does it great. He absolutely does it great with this. And I think that's just it, is that in some ways he is more sophisticated than Shane. But in some ways he is so much more innocent than Shane. Yeah.
It's true.
Or
it is true.
Something,
Well, so whether you came to Heated Rivalry for the rivals to lovers chaos, the slow burn yearning, or let's be honest, the vibes, what really makes it endure is the storytelling craft underneath it all. The tension is earned, the vulnerability is deliberate, and every choice serves that emotional payoff. It's a reminder that great stories don't just give readers what they want, they understand why readers want it in the first place. So we'd love to know what hooked you most about this book or the show. Is it the rivalry, the secrecy, the emotional honesty? Like what? Something else entirely, maybe? however you landed there, thanks for skating through this one with us, and we will see you next time on Write Out Loud. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We really hope that you're enjoying every bit of it, but we would love to hear your feedback. Drop us an email either to matt@writeoutloudpod.com or Christina@bookmatchmaker.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. What's working, what's not working, and what do you want to hear more of? Thanks so much. We really appreciate it.